Welcome to the Positive Pants Podcast. Mindset, motivation, and inspiration to help you find your positive pants. Let go of negative thinking and stop living for the weekend. With your host, Fran Excel.
So welcome to the show. As always, it's Fran Excel Mindset Coach, helping you find your very own pair of positive pants so you can get out of your own way and live a life that you love. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm very grateful you've chosen to put me in your earbuds today. Please do hit the subscribe button so you don't miss anything, and do leave me a review. I love reading them, and it really helps me get found by other people who need to hear what I share. I'd also love you to email me your mindset and productivity questions or topics you'd love me to cover to hello@franexcel.com, because I know a lot of you think I'm inside your heads because you tell me all the time. But if I don't know what you need, I can't give it to you. So let me know. What's the one thing that if you were to get it done today, this week, or this month, you would be so much closer to exactly where you want to be? So the premise of the book, The One Thing, by Gary Keller and Papasan, fits in perfectly with my year of simplifying things. And I wanted to share why with you. So first, in the interest of context, I will take you to what got me thinking about this in the first place. So you know when everyone at the very beginning of the year talks about what's your word for 2020? I didn't actually get involved. I didn't tell anyone mine because it was so noisy out there. I mean, every other post, if not more, on all the socials was what's your word for 2020? Yeah. And I get the sentiment, and I think it's important when used to the best of its ability. But I also kind of feel like many people choose a word purely for the sake of it, and it's based on external circumstances. It's one of those, many actually very, very useful things that have been turned into something that's a little bit fluffy, which then stops a lot of people actually wanting to take part at all. And on the other side, it makes people flippantly pick something based on what they outwardly think people want to see or hear, and not actually based on what is really going to drive them forward. We all want to be in a club, right? No FOMO allowed. So we get involved and then forget about it pretty quickly afterwards. And there's not really much point in doing that. Everyone else seems to have a word, so I must have a word. So what I tend to do is have a think about it, and then I ponder it for January, and I work out how I want to make it stick and what I want to change to be able to live by it, because that's the real point, right? Working out how you want to live on an unconscious identity level, whatever that is for you, how we want to show up, what our values are. It's all these lovely things rolled into one little word. The reason I like it, it's one word, it's one thing, one point of focus to help you make decisions and changes and remind yourself of how you want to show up. So mine for 2020 is simplify. Nothing big or grand or for anyone but me, but that's the theme for me in 2020, simplifying things and having one big main goal that any other goal, they all just kind of feed into this one thing. Essentially, it's one thing. Then comes the focus, the momentum, the easy decisions, the big changes. It's when you make that relentless point of focus, you can still have just as much on your to-do list, but you are always making progress. It feels counterintuitive to only have one thing to focus on when you've got so much to do. Yeah, but it feels like you would be doing less, but you actually end up doing far more. You move forward quicker. So simplifying and obeying the one thing means you have more focus, more momentum, you prioritize with ease, there is less on your plate, and you just get more done. So the premise of the book is that by using this one question, everything else becomes easier. So here she is. What is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will become easier or unnecessary? So I shall repeat that for you. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will become easier or unnecessary? Mic drop. So you can see how by using this question, it's all about the focus, the priority, and the simplification. It makes everything else on your to-do list kind of obsolete. until this one thing is done, which also gets rid of that pesky overwhelm gremlin, because, you know, when you do this one thing, a lot of the stuff just becomes unnecessary. You don't need to do it anymore. Yeah. And I also use it purely as my point of focus that helps with everything that I do. So I have one big goal for this year, which is to get my journal, the Positive Pants Planner, out into the world. So I always ask, what is the one thing I can do today that's going to get me closer to that goal? Because it has already been years in the making, I shall be honest. My episode, How to Journal for the Non-Dear Diary Type, is my most popular episode ever. And it was also my very first episode. I also get asked about it all the time. I have printables on my website that people can buy, but I haven't turned it into a hard copy journal yet. All the pieces of the puzzle are there. I mean, seriously. So this has been a long time in the making, but I've allowed myself to get distracted, listen to too many opinions, you know, don't go low ticket, you know, have a huge audience and all of this sort of thing. And generally I got in my own way with it by consistently looking at it as more of a nice to have than an essential. Oh, I know. The irony is not lost on me here. I see my own self-sabotage right there. I do. So the reality is I didn't prioritize it because it's easy to prioritize the higher ticket things. It's easier to make that higher up the list. But this is my passion. It's what I believe can help everybody, whatever stage they're at. And in all honesty, is my dream. You know, and I know it will be the best too, because dag nammit, I've put some research into it. And it's exactly, you know, it's the exact system that I use to turn my whole life around from Eeyore on a bad day to now. I still use it pretty much exactly the same system with a few tweaks and improvements, which will obviously be in the journal for you guys. You know, it excites me. It fires me up. People are asking for it. And if you want in on the wait list, drop me a DM or an email at hello@franexcel.com with waitlists on the subject, and I will add you to the list to be one of the first people to hear about it, because it will be a really small print run to start with. So why haven't I done it yet? Quite frankly, there are so many moving pieces, so many things to think about and work out and cost up. And I want a long-term relationship with any company that I choose to work with in the production of it. And that level of service is, I'm going to be honest, hard to find. I've got higher standards. And quite frankly, I just didn't quite see the bigger picture and how it links in with everything I want. And I do now. So how did I work that out? When I start the year, I ask myself certain questions in my journal, which will be in my journal, to work out what I really want for the year, getting rid of distractions and anyone else's opinions. You know, I've talked about this a lot, about making sure that you're really doing the things that you love and not compromising for what you think you should do. And the Positive Pants Planner has been on the list for about 6 years. And I've had the trademark for about 2 years too. Whoopsie. But by simplifying and adopting the one thing rule, I've made more progress in a month than I have in years. It is my priority now. It will happen. You know, I always use this tool with clients too. It's super simple and can instantly change the way that you're thinking about and looking at things. So what is the one thing that you want to achieve this year? Yeah. Then every day, what's the one thing you could do today to take you a step closer? It allows you to make big jumps in less time. So for me, the one thing I want is to get my journal into the world. So one thing I could do right now to get me closer would be to email people who may be able to help me achieve that. Tick, box, done. Several people. There's several people already in my network, and this happens all the time. There's another episode that I did about using the resources that you've already got. It's so easy to forget we've got them. And when you're in a place, when you're unsure if the chicken or the egg came first, leaving you kind of overwhelmed and not knowing your next step, what is the one thing you could do to improve that right now? Obviously, ask people who may already have the answer, right? Go into communities that you're in and say, does anyone know anyone that does this? This is what I'm looking for. Anyone point me in the right direction? Yeah, when you are relentlessly pursuing a focused goal, everything starts to become easier. Yeah. So when I've literally lost my trail of thought. You know, the things to say no to become really obvious the things to say yes to become really obvious. Will this help me achieve my one thing? If the answer is yes, it doesn't matter how scary it is, the answer is going to be a yes. And if you struggle saying no to people, when you ask this question, it becomes magically easier to say no. Yeah, you really can use this in all areas of your life too. So you could have a goal in each key area: health, finances, business, career, friends and family, love life, environment, personal development, and fun. About 8 things. So you can have one thing in each area. I have many other things involved in my one thing, but it's the umbrella to everything. I will still have multiple revenue streams. I will still do all the things I enjoy, like the podcast. I will still do the speaking gigs and the consulting and the Proactive Pants Mastermind and the one-on-one clients. But they all link back into that one thing that creates structure and cohesion across everything. And even though there's still a lot on my plate, it doesn't feel like it because I see how it all clicks together now. Exciting, right? It feels more fun, it feels lighter, it feels focused. I don't have to do it all in one go, but as long as I keep that focus on my one thing, it's all going to happen and I feel it. So what is the one thing for you? What is your big one thing? And what's one thing you could do today that could make all the difference? Remember to ask yourself, what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will become easier or unnecessary? And then go check out the book in all its glory, The One Thing by Gary Keller and Papasan. It's an awesome book. So if you got value from this and in your gut that now is the time to step up and start rewiring your thinking and changing things for yourself, then book in a free discovery call so we can work out what needs to happen to get you from where you're at right now to the action-taking success you can be. And if you want my eyes and ears on your problems, I work with people one-on-one and through my Proactive Pants Mastermind. So stop waiting for if and when and decide to change things now, because you can. And as always, I hope that was helpful. So any questions, just let me know. And as always, I will see you next week. Bye.